All right, folks, another day in the books. I've got some DoorDash on the way. I got Monday Night Football. It is shaping up to be a pretty good night. But all right, little recap of the action. We got the S&Ps up, we'll call it 0.8%. QQQ up just shy of 1%. The IWM green, the Dow green, with the exception of AMD, Netflix, and Amazon. For the most part, a pretty green day here. S&P 500, very much an object in motion, staying in motion. If anything, we do hit that 3 ATR extension today. Which usually not a bad spot for a little chill pill. Maybe a little back and forth, maybe even a pullback to the 21 EMA. With a perfect score of Where are we? With a perfect score of 75, I really can't call for a dip just yet. Very, very bullish. S&P futures, no squeeze in the cash. Looking at the S&P futures, we have a daily squeeze and the white arrow. All points towards a bit more upside. QQQ futures, a couple squeezes here. All right, we got the white arrow here on the daily squeeze. We have the white arrow here on the 4-hour squeeze. Nice move today above that September swing high. I think all they got to do is keep it above that September swing high. And the odds favor they take that 4-hour squeeze, take that daily squeeze. And I think at a minimum they try to sniff out a move back towards those previous all-time highs. Right, you go looking at the weekly squeeze. A little bit down the road, that points towards maybe a lot higher, a lot more than just a push back towards the previous highs. Cash QQQ. All right, same picture, big weekly squeeze setting up. Gap above the September highs, above that 500 to 503-ish. That is what I'm looking for. Quick peek here at the IWM. White arrow in a daily squeeze, and then white arrow on the 2-day squeeze. Now, I'm probably not going to buy the IWM, but as far as looking for a stronger market, it can't hurt. Daily squeeze fires long, 2-day squeeze fires long. It won't hurt the bull's case. And then the big Dow. Behaving nicely here in that daily squeeze. Maybe a little more room towards 433, 435. Very solid. So indexes, for the most part, all looking like they want higher. Doesn't mean that happens in a straight line. We could trade sideways tomorrow. We could pull back a bit. I think until these bigger picture signals change, we keep on looking for good longs. All right, back to the rankings. Let's see, sectors, financials, transports, industrials, communications, the big bad Big 12, and then some tech, SMH. Few things, of course, stronger than others, but nobody with a negative score. The same can't be said for the Big 14, or the Big 12. The oddball, Tesla with a negative 27. I wanted to show you guys this. The definition of lame. The daily chart's got a score of 0. Not strong enough for a positive 1, not weak enough for a negative 1. Big old goose egg. That one I don't want to buy, at least for now. TSM, Apple, Nvidia, Meta, AMAT, Amazon. Broadcom on a lower time frame. We'll jump back to that one. Google, Netflix, really anybody other than Tesla. The preference being top 2, 3, 4 names. Which we got numero dos here. Picking up those calls in Apple today. Right, 235 calls for November 1st. And that potentially gives us enough time to try to catch that move towards earnings. Now it's brand new, and I don't think they're going to fire this before earnings. If and when they do fire this brand new weekly squeeze, I think that makes Apple a $250 stock. If they fire it and if it goes on to get the job done. What I think could add a lot of fuel to that fire, the nature of that nested squeeze. If you got a big weekly squeeze, that's one thing. If you have a weekly squeeze and then you drop down one notch, you've got a 3-day squeeze setting up. You drop down another notch, you have a 2-day squeeze setting up. You've got a daily squeeze setting up, you have a 4-hour squeeze setting up. And you get those multi-squeeze kind of setups across weekly, daily, 4-hour time frames. When they fire, can all make for a pretty big move. So we're jumping here, jumping in here on the 235 calls. 4-hour squeeze looking pretty sharp. Now, you had the same setup back here. Got some news overnight, gap down. Right, that one didn't work. No guarantees this one works, but I like the odds. If they can fire the 4-hour squeeze, get it going through 233 and change, I think we're playing for a move into about 235, 237. So I'm liking the Apple, and then, so as far as the Broadcom trade, we bought the call butterfly about, let me see, I think going on 4 weeks ago. Let me see, September 25th. Which would have been, call it 1 week, 2 weeks. Okay, so we're going on 3 weeks, right? Now, as far as the quality of the setup, which would be the weekly squeeze, the thing's a beauty. They take out the high, I think you're getting 200, maybe even 210. What I'm starting to learn more and more about myself is, I like those daily 4-hour, 1-hour, 30-minute squeezes. As a general statement, 4 or 5 days into the trade, you kind of got a sense of whether or not it's going to work. And a lot of times, better yet, 4 or 5 days into the trade, you might be getting your paycheck. Or I'm just kind of figuring out the patience required for a weekly squeeze just might not be something I have. In a market where I'm seeing really clean 30-minute squeezes, 1-hour, 4-hour, daily, 2-day squeezes, same setup, same song and dance, just something that could pay us a little bit quicker. On top of that, 200 call butterfly. Sure enough, now that I'm out of the trade, they'll gap it up into 200 tomorrow. But in terms of, alright, I might be in here for another 3-4 weeks. If they can't take it above these highs, the trade's going to be a big dud. If they do take it through the highs, if I'm really going to maximize that profit potential, I need that move into 200, and I kind of need it to sit there. I love the setup. I like the trade on paper. Again, I'm just kind of learning. Requires a little bit more patience than I have. About 3-4 weeks into the trade, just kind of getting sick of looking at it on the open P&L. Setup-wise, I think it's a beauty. So, it's a little bit more up my alley. And I do think for the sake of the group, we want to find a good setup, take an entry, get paid, keep on rocking and rolling. If they do take out the highs, if they do fire that weekly squeeze, let's just say there's a path into 205, 210. Guess what? Along the way, every, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, of course, but every 15-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour, 2-hour, 4-hour squeeze, pretty good chance they're going to fire in the direction of that bigger weekly squeeze. Waiting for those moments in time, taking that wind at my back, a little bit more up my alley. So, taking we get like a 20% profit for about 3 weeks of work. Yeah, 20% profit, and then I'd rather buy more Apple. Apple striking me as a little more. Let's go for it, and let's go for it right here, right now. So that is the thinking behind that. And again, I like a weekly squeeze as wind at my back. If I can find one on my favorite stock and boom, they break it out and fires long, beautiful. Until that weekly squeeze runs out of gas, give you a good visual. And a little bit like right now. Right now, the QQQ has a weekly squeeze. One school of thought is, and I think for a certain personality, it's awesome. Okay, QQQ has a weekly squeeze. It all leans bullish, right? Signals, etc. I'm going to buy calls that expire in 60, 90 days. And unless things really go south, I'm just going to hold on tight and let that weekly squeeze work out. You latch on to a move like that, it's really good stuff. Or you find that weekly squeeze, watch it fire, and then beautiful. You might have a 2, 3, 4, 5 week window to go buy every 15-minute, 30-minute, hourly, etc., squeeze you get. I don't think a right or wrong answer, just personality kind of thing. But alright, so we're out of Broadcom, we got the Big Apple, and then aside from those bad boys, let's see. I would like to buy SPX or QQQ. That way we're not dancing around the earnings. So let's see. TSM grades out as number 1. I believe they have earnings on Thursday. Let's go check out NVIDIA. It's a tricky spot to want to buy at end of day, knowing it could lead to a gap up tomorrow. Let's take a peek. Yeah, so 15-minute squeeze into the close. And you're coming up right on the previous all-time highs. Again, buying it right there can be a little tricky. Through the previous highs, the more they can push it, the closer I think they're getting to firing these bigger time frame squeeze setups. Big 3-day squeeze, trying to hook momentum. 2-day squeeze just fired. And then the big boy. Big boy would be the weekly, which just got a fresh buy signal. And keep in mind, these things don't happen in, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Not usually, at least. But if you speak the language of the squeeze, you kind of think in terms of if-then statements. It's all pretty straightforward. If they break it out, if the squeeze fires, we got to look for a move into about 2.5 to 3 ATR. 155, $1.60. If they break it out, if it fires, you don't doubt that, you don't fight that. So I want to be here for that as far as a swing trade. Now, earnings. The other thing I like about NVIDIA, aside from the setup, unlike a lot of these tech names, earnings aren't until looking like maybe mid-November. Meaning we could find a spot here to buy that weekly squeeze, and we got a good month and change to play for a push into earnings. We shall see where it opens tomorrow. But yeah, through those highs, I think they might want to get that 3-day weekly squeeze going. And then a couple more for you. Meta, I don't see too much here as far as we got to buy it. Tomorrow, AMAT, Amazon, Broadcom, Google. Not trying to talk our book. I think as far as best setups, it'd be Apple. Mainly on that 4-hour squeeze. And that should go hand in hand here with the NQ. NQ 4-hour squeeze fires to the upside. I think the odds would favor. little bit of the same action here for Apple. So we'll hang on tight to that one and then find out what's up tomorrow. Till things change in a big fashion, we keep on looking for spots to get long, and ideally doing that, top 3, 4, 5 names on the board. Tesla, an AMD, a Microsoft and Netflix. They wouldn't be top priority. TSM, Apple, Nvidia, they got that good stuff. All right, let me wrap up the recording here, and then any questions, anything y'all want to look at,